The moment she exited her modest cabin at Frosthelm Peaks, Europe's most luxurious ski resort, she faced ridicule for her financial situation. Her worn puffer coat, used skis, and a homemade wool hat gave the impression of a misplaced equipment handler. "That's the billionaire's girlfriend?" Someone scoffed. "I thought she was carrying the ski boots." The details of her past as a national athlete were unknown. She had been disqualified from the Olympics following a fabricated doping scandal engineered by the father of the heiress now facing her. Elise Wren stood in the cold scrutiny of the elite, her hazel eyes unwavering, her silence sharp. Their intention was to disgrace her, to break her amidst the snow, but within 20 minutes she would create a lasting story in the Alps with a run so flawless it would destabilize their world, and her billionaire partner would undermine their fortunes. Who was this girl, and what fire would she unleash on these slopes? Frosthelm Peaks was a fortress of snow and splendor, its slopes glistening under the alpine sun like a sheet of polished crystal. Situated in the heart of the Alps, it served as the ultimate playground for billionaires, global celebrities, and European royalty, where a single-day pass cost more than a luxury car. Chalets with glass walls were situated on cliffs, their fireplaces providing a warm glow, as brands such as Chanel and Prada filmed their winter advertising campaigns on the perfectly groomed slopes. The atmosphere was crisp, filled with the aroma of pine and affluence, with each guest embodying significant influence. Gondolas operated above, transporting fur-draped heiresses whose attire cost more than their bespoke skis. Security neutralized paparazzi drones, yet a live broadcast shared the resort's every moment globally, showcasing the elite within their frozen domain. Just past the velvet ropes, Elise Wren's father, a retired ski instructor, observed on his phone, his aged hands trembling, his gaze fixed on his daughter's face. Elise emerged from a modest cabin, her white puffercoat wrinkled, her used skis marked but dependable. Her chestnut hair was tucked under a hand-knit wool hat, a few strands drifting in the wind, and her hazel eyes held a subtle intensity. At 26, she possessed a striking beauty, not the refined elegance of the privileged, but the natural allure of someone raised amidst Montana's untamed landscapes. Her father had initiated her in the art of skiing before she could even write her name, his voice calm and reassuring. He imparted the wisdom: the mountain doesn't care about your gear, it honors your heart. Elise had previously competed as a national-level skier, with her name once considered for the Olympics, before a fabricated doping scandal, orchestrated by a powerful man, dashed her aspirations. Now she stood beside Noah Marchand, her presence a spark in the frost, her simplicity a contrast to the resort's opulence. Noah, at 28, was a commanding figure in a tailored black ski jacket, his dark hair swept back, his green eyes sharp as emeralds. At just the youngest age on the Forbes Top 10 list, he had transformed Marchand Technologies into an empire valued at $180 billion, his name opening every door. He presented Elise as his girlfriend, his voice being warm yet firm, and his hand resting gently on her shoulder. The audience became still, their murmurs filled with negativity. "Her," a woman in a mink coat exclaimed, her voice audible on the live stream. "She appears as if she came from a thrift shop." Elise adjusted her hat, her expression calm, though the atmosphere was charged with disapproval. Noah's jaw clenched, but he remained quiet, relying on Elise's resilience. The privileged perceived a vulnerability, and they attacked swiftly. Natalia Van Cleve, a member of a prominent global banking family, stood close by, her platinum blonde hair reflecting the light from a $5,000 fur hat. Noah's former girlfriend and classmate, she had never forgiven him for his choice of Elise. She scrutinized Elise with a deliberate gaze, her smile sharp and pointed. "Noah, you brought your little sister?" she asked, her voice carrying to the grandstands. A wave of laughter, pointed and unkind, followed as phones began recording Elise's worn coat. Natalia and her group, dressed in expensive ski clothing, laughed, one of them throwing a snow-covered glove towards Elise's feet. "Pick it up, valet," she said. Elise carefully stepped over the glove, her hazel eyes meeting Natalia's gaze, her expression calm despite the quickening of her pulse. Natalia Van Cleve advanced, her $5,000 fur hat creating a shadow, and her voice sharp and cutting. "You're a disgrace to Noah's legacy. she declared, her words audible on the global live stream. That coat, those skis, did you find them in a dumpster? You'll never belong here. The clicking of her heels resonated, accompanied by cruel laughter, as phones focused on Elisa's wrinkled puffer. You're a nobody. Benefiting from his reputation, Natalia added, her smirk particularly pointed. Noah warrants a queen, not a beggar. Elisa's fingers pressed firmly on her skis, her hazel eyes reflecting a hidden determination, yet her expression stayed calm. Her father's hands shook on the live stream. The personal attack felt like a blow to his daughter's value. The audience's anger surged, their hearts aching for Elise, furious at Natalia's calculated attack on her identity and love. Her father's face on the live stream contorted, the insult feeling like a blow to his honor, and the viewers reacted with palpable anger. The grandstands hummed as Elise approached the lift, her knit hat visible amongst the crowd. Ethan Caldwell, a son of a tech entrepreneur, rested against a barrier, his $10,000 skis situated nearby. Wait, isn't she Noah's girlfriend? He scoffed, the sound audible on the live stream. Sweet face, but she resembles a life-size IKEA doll. Laughter from his friends cut through the cold air. Did she take the wrong exit? One asked. Another, Lila Voss, a model, remarked, I thought Noah only dated supermodels. It seems his preferred type has shifted to inspirational stories of a poor girl's struggles. The group erupted in noise, their phones illuminated as they composed captions. Hat Frost Helm Flop. Elise walked steadily, her face composed, her silence acting as protection from their criticism. As Elise neared the ski lift, the disdain of the wealthy escalated into a calculated display of aggression. A group of heiresses, dressed in ski suits costing $15,000, arranged themselves in a semicircle, their voices laced with scorn. Look at her, feigning Noah's status, one remarked, flinging a snow-covered mitten towards Elisa's feet. Return to your cabin, pauper. Another brandished a phone adorned with diamonds, declaring, she's a laughable bargain. I bet she's only ridden a sled. Mobile phones illuminated, displaying harsh livestream posts. A malfunction with a helmet visor, magnified through zoom, focused on her used skis. A technology magnate in a tailored parka exclaimed, she's tarnishing Noah's reputation. The audience's amusement felt like a public condemnation, every comment a strike against Elisa's quietness. Her father's expression on the live stream conveyed distress, each insult a blow to her dignity. The spectators' anger escalated, their pulses racing, angered by this group's unwavering brutality. The audience's anger intensified, their hearts aching for her dignity. A collection of skiers, their boots shining, assembled close to the lift, their hushed tones sharp as shards of ice. She's a charity case, one remarked, the words audible on the live stream. Noah's slumming it for PR, another added. A discarded lift pass was thrown towards her, accompanied by the words, clean that up, boot carrier. The paper slid across the snow, lightly touching her boots, but Elise remained still. Her father's hands trembled visibly on the live stream, tears reflecting the light, yet he remained focused. Noah's companions, a group of venture capitalists dressed in tailored outfits, spoke quietly amongst themselves, their voices audible. Noah's lost it, one commented. Bringing a newcomer to Frosthelm? She's damaging his reputation. The derisive laughter grew louder, each syllable feeling like a blow to Elisa's heart. She straightened her posture, her hazel eyes flashing, but her smile remained unchanged. A Frosthelm lift operator, his branded jacket gleaming, joined in the teasing, his voice laced with condescension. Miss, this isn't the rental shack, he said, loud enough for the crowd to hear. Your gear's a safety hazard. Perhaps stick to the beginner's slope. He indicated her second-hand skis, his smirk reflected by nearby guests. We don't allow skiers with donated equipment on Death Curl, he added, prompting laughter from the elite. The phones illuminated, recording Elisa's composed expression, with captions appearing as ski reject. The crowd's acceptance felt oppressive, their elitism a visible humiliation. Elise straightened her knit hat, her hazel eyes unwavering, but her father's live stream displayed his face collapsing, and the staff's involvement suggested a new betrayal. The audience's anger escalated, their fury at this institutional cruelty of fire threatening to explode, wanting Elise to retaliate. Natalia took advantage of the situation, her voice echoing across the slope. "Elise, if you're truly here to ski, let's add some stakes," she said, her laugh sharp as the snow. "One rundown death curl. The legendary slope, exclusively for professional athletes. If you win, I'll offer a sincere apology and donate $2 million to a charity of your choice. But if you lose, you'll remove your gloves, kneel in the snow, and tell the press, I'm not worthy of Noah Marchand." The crowd reacted sharply, their phones raised, anticipating Elise's potential embarrassment. Noah moved forward, his voice firm. "Enough, Natalia," he said. Elise squeezed his hand, her expression calm. "Let them wager," she replied quietly. "But if I succeed, they depart this mountain and they refrain from mentioning me ever again." The resort's live stream transformed into a virtual battleground, broadcasting the elite's derision to millions. Comments appeared, guests posting in real time their captions of public shaming. "Hat Frosthelm freak," one read, focusing on Elise's hand-knit hat. Someone claimed she was a fraud, a post shared by a royal's niece. A guest shouted, "Bet she bribed her way in with Noah's money," sparking laughter that echoed across the slope. The livestream comments flooded with demands to ban her. "Loser," a woman in a $12,000 ski suit called out. "She's humiliating Noah. Someone stop this." Elise's hands remained steady, her hazel eyes fixed on the peak, but her father's face on the livestream was a study in agony, each digital jab a blow to his daughter's pride. The audience's anger was palpable, their hearts with Elise, longing for this global shaming to cease, their fury at its magnitude a burning pain. The arena exploded with derisive laughter, the elite's contempt a powerful surge. Death Curl was a formidable challenge, its name a caution to all but the most skilled. The crowd's taunts followed Elise to the lift, their phones recording her every movement. A Russian oligarch's daughter, wrapped in sable, shouted, "She'll fail before the first turn." Laughter rippled through the group, their diamonds flashing in the light, with one person exclaiming, "Bet she's never seen a slope like this." The livestream commentary rapidly increased, with messages reading, "She's done. Poor girl fail." Ethan Caldwell rose to his feet, his voice carrying across the area. "Why is she even here? This is our mountain, not a welfare run." The onlookers responded with cheers, their sense of privilege forming a barrier around Elise. A ski instructor, having received payment from Natalia, subtly altered the slope's configuration, directing Elise's run toward a dangerous area of hidden ice and unprepared terrain. Elise examined her skis, her braids moving, her hazel eyes focused on the peak. The audience's anger simmered, their fury at this planned cruelty a palpable presence. Natalia's scheme was in place. As Noah was diverted by a phone call from his board, the handler altered Elise's route, guaranteeing she would encounter a perilous situation no inexperienced skier could navigate. Natalia perceived Elise as merely a pleasant girlfriend accompanying him, her borrowed equipment seeming to confirm her lack of expertise. She was unaware that Elise had previously been a national skier, her name permanently recorded in junior championship records. At 19, Elise had emerged as a rising star, her skiing characterized by grace and fluidity, until Natalia's father, who was then president of the Ski Federation, manufactured a doping scandal to facilitate the advancement of his daughters. The accusation destroyed Elise's Olympic aspirations, effectively ending her career through deceit. Now, she stood at the summit of Death Curl, her skis firmly planted, her heart ablaze, oblivious to the ice that lay beneath. Elise sped down the slope, her white coat aflash against the snow, her skis carving through the powder. The audience fell silent, their phones raised, anticipating a fall. Death Curl was a formidable challenge, steep and winding, with precipices that made experienced skiers hesitate. The initial concealed patch of ice appeared, a treacherous hazard intended to unbalance her. Elise detected the change, her body leaning low, her skis grazing the side. She executed a 360 twist, her braids swirling, completing the maneuver with a sharp eagle landing that seemed to break the laws of physics. The audience reacted with a collective intake of breath, their previous amusement silenced. Coaches from the training area below rose to their feet, their clipboards momentarily discarded, to applaud. Elise's speed was overwhelming, each movement demonstrating exceptional skill, her used skis a challenge to those who doubted her. The live stream viewership surged. Who is she? This is unbelievable. The second obstacle appeared quickly, a rough section of unprepared ground with rocks partially hidden by snow. Elise moved with fluidity, her form a graceful line as she descended the slope. She navigated the hazard with ease, the sound of her skis filling the air, her hat remaining secure against the wind. The audience fell silent, their phones visibly vibrating as Elise launched off a ramp, executing a double-twist aerial and landing with a flawless technique that resonated through the mountain. The coaches cheered loudly, their applause joined by professional skiers who paused their runs to observe. Natalia's smile disappeared, her fur hat shifted, and her eyes widened in surprise. Ethan's jaw dropped, his confidence fading. The comments on the live stream exploded with praise. She's a goddess. Elise's father, observing from his phone, was overcome with emotion, a silent sense of pride as his daughter reasserted her identity. The final segment presented a formidable challenge, a constricted, inclining path featuring a sharp turn that had previously defeated skilled competitors. Elise moved, her skis a streak of motion, her form unified with the mountain. She approached the turn, her ski edge gripping the snow, her velocity obliterating the resort's previous record. The official sensors indicated her time, 1 minute and 47.2 seconds faster than any run in Frosthelm's history. She skidded to a stop, her breathing controlled, her hazel eyes scanning the spectators. The grandstands felt desolate, the elite's disdain seemed spectral, their phones ignored. Natalia remained motionless, her complexion wan, her influence diminishing. Media crews adjusted their cameras, documenting Elise's victory, as livestream viewers erupted in online discussion. She dominated them. #Frosthelm Queen. From the base, Noah observed, a surge of pride filling him as his green eyes followed the woman who had just set a new standard for the mountain. As Elise came to a stop, the coaches' applause rose to a resounding ovation, their respect washing away the skepticism of the established skiers. A seasoned Olympic trainer, his silver hair gleaming in the sunlight, approached. Elise Wren just skied like a world champion, he announced, his gaze fixed on Natalia. Her talent was obscured by deception, and today, she has rightfully recovered it. He addressed the crowd, his expression serious. Those who had ridiculed her ought to feel remorse. Natalia's complexion paled, her fur hat dropping onto the snow, her rein faltering in the face of Elise's victory. The live stream recorded her astonishment, with comments appearing rapidly. She's finished. #EliseLegend. The coaches raised their hands, confirming Elise's record as official, establishing her name as an enduring legacy on Frosthelm. Elise stood confidently, her knit hat a modest symbol of her triumph, her victory sharply diminishing Natalia's self-assurance. The audience erupted in cheers, their spirits lifting as Elise's skill silenced her detractors, her performance a symbol of fairness. Elise grasped the microphone, her voice strong and unwavering, piercing the quiet like a sliver of ice. I was removed from Olympic selection after your father invented a doping accusation against me, she stated, her hazel eyes fixed on Natalia, but I no longer desire gold medals. I simply needed to defeat you, to demonstrate that intelligence isn't dictated by your financial resources. A hush fell as the onlookers shifted, their previous harshness evident. Noah advanced, his hand gently touching hers, his voice firm and decisive. My family is withdrawing all investments from the Van Cleve Bank, he declared, his eyes gleaming intensely, and you are permanently prohibited from entering any resort managed by my corporate network. Natalia visibly faltered, her fur hat slipping, her family's power seemingly threatened. The repercussions were immediate. Ethan Caldwell walked slowly toward the lodge, his $10,000 skis unused, and his group avoiding his attention. Lila Voss attempted to dismiss the situation, but her modeling contract was already being reconsidered, her sponsors concerned by the reaction to the livestream. The Russian oligarch's daughter, who had wagered on Elise's fall, quietly left, her sable coat unable to block the rumors. She lost everything. The instructor responsible for manipulating the slope was dismissed immediately, his badge taken, and his career finished. The stands emptied, the elite resigned, their exclusivity shattered by the girl in the wrinkled coat. The Frosthelm crowd, once a wall of scorn, now stood in awe, phones down, and the former brutality was a bitter memory. A young skier who had been silent until then approached Elise, her voice trembling. "I was wrong to be silent," she said, her eyes shining. "You are what this resort should honor." The others joined her. The applause soared and the tide of respect drowned their past insults. The live stream documented the change, with comments rapidly appearing. "She transformed the mountain." #Elise serves as an inspiration. Ethan Caldwell's confidence crumbled, his $10,000 skis unused, his group dispersing as their embarrassment went viral. Lila Voss retreated, her modeling career suffering, her ridicule now a visible mark. The Russian oligarch's daughter remained isolated, her sable coat offering no protection from the murmurs. She wagered against a queen. Elise's talent burned brightly, fundamentally changing Frosthelm, her victory a lasting condemnation of those responsible. The audience's hearts pounded, their frustration evolving into pride, Elise's performance becoming a legendary tale that silenced her critics. Noah's companions, who had previously ridiculed Elise's abilities, dispersed, their investments wavering under Marchand's sway. The live stream gained worldwide popularity, Elise Ren dominating social media, her run establishing itself as a legend. Noah embraced Elise, speaking softly, his words intended solely for her. "You didn't need to prove anything," he said, his hand brushing her cheek. "You were always enough." Elise smiled, her hazel eyes softening, her knit hat a quiet crown. The resort's leaderboard was updated, her name now etched at the top. Elise Ren, death curl record, 1 minute and 47.2 seconds. Coaches approached, their respect palpable, one whispering, "You should have been at the Olympics." The live stream captured their embrace, comments appearing rapidly. "She's a queen," Noah and Elise. The mountain's structure changed, its entrances becoming more accessible, its essence transformed by a girl who'd skied past deception and ended it all with a flawless run. 2 days after Elise's run, a video of it became widespread online, with the caption, "Never judge a skier by her gear." The internet reacted strongly, her name becoming a symbol for those who are overlooked. Noah and Elise stood together, holding hands, their future representing a commitment to honesty. She faced ridicule and emerged a legend, not through victory, but through unwavering integrity. Frosthelm Peaks was no longer exclusive, it belonged to her, a testament to a young woman in a hand-knit hat who had inspired the Alps. Legendary skiing doesn't require expensive equipment, and genuine love isn't found in material possessions. It's found in staying true to what's important. Like, share, and subscribe for more stories like this. And tell us in the comments, what would you do if you were Elise? One morning, Jessica Harper, a woman of simple tastes, experienced a deeply embarrassing incident at Atlantic National Bank. Her bag was emptied, coffee spilled onto her shirt, and she was pushed towards the exit, ridiculed for her sweatpants and treated with derision as if she were out of place. The lobby was filled with hushed whispers and scornful looks as she stood there, feeling frozen and utterly ashamed. However, the atmosphere abruptly shifted as her billionaire husband arrived. With a single, understated instruction, derision transformed into remorse, laughter into apprehension, and pride into complete astonishment. The bank presented a facade of smooth marble counters and subdued conversations, an environment where affluence seemed to permeate every gleaming surface. Jessica entered, dressed in gray sweatpants and a simple white t-shirt, her auburn hair pulled back in a relaxed ponytail. She possessed a striking beauty, with soft green eyes and a graceful demeanor, though her unassuming attire concealed it from view. Ethan stood nearby, dressed sharply in a tailored charcoal suit, projecting a sense of quiet confidence. They had come to open an account for the Harper Foundation, Jessica's nonprofit organization that invests millions in children's education, beginning with a substantial deposit for a new scholarship program. Ethan's phone vibrated. It was a call from abroad that he was obligated to answer. Consequently, he stepped outside, allowing Jessica to approach the counter by herself. She held a folder containing the necessary documents and offered a warm smile as she greeted the teller. Before the young clerk could reply, Vanessa Brooks, the branch manager, intervened. Vanessa, who was tall and appeared stern, with blonde hair neatly pulled back and a suit that conveyed authority, observed Jessica's clothing and paused. Her eyes narrowed, and her lips formed a thin, skeptical line. "Can I help you?" she inquired, her voice cold, as if Jessica had entered the incorrect location. Jessica maintained a calm tone. "I would like to open an account and make a deposit for the Harper Foundation." She pushed the folder across the counter, but Vanessa didn't acknowledge it. Instead, she bent over the counter, her eyes examining Jessica's sweatpants with disapproval. "And where did this money originate?" she demanded, her voice sharp enough to attract attention. "We represent a respected organization. Our clientele maintain a particular expectation. I require more than your assurance to confirm this isn't questionable." Jessica's face reddened, but she didn't object, simply opened the folder, indicating the documents. Vanessa didn't simply question her. She leaned across the counter, took Jessica's tote from her shoulder, and spilled its contents onto the floor. A phone, a wallet, keys, they scattered like refuse. "Let's see what you're truly carrying," she said, sneering, and kicked Jessica's wallet beneath a chair. Marcus clapped. "Bet it's stolen. Look at her clothes." Ryan reacted, whispering, "That's excessive." But Vanessa retorted, "Quiet, child. This is my performance." Jessica bent to collect her belongings, her hands shaking. Despite her distress, she remained composed, picking up her things as the crowd watched, their quietude feeling like a painful twist. Vanessa intervened. She grabbed the folder, examining its contents with a showy doubt, then threw it back onto the counter with a dismissive noise. "This could be fabricated, as far as I know," she stated, her voice growing louder. "People like you don't simply walk in with foundation money. What's your game?" Several clients waiting in the queue seemed restless, their gazes moving between Jessica and Vanessa. A man wearing a pinstripe suit quietly remarked to his wife, "She doesn't appear to fit in." Jessica's grip on the folder grew tighter, but she maintained her composure. "This is genuine. My husband and I—" Vanessa interrupted, advancing, her finger pointing just an inch from Jessica's face. "Don't offer me explanations." She spoke sharply. "I've seen your type, looking like you just woke up, thinking you can defraud a bank like this. I ought to summon security immediately." The room fell silent, many heads turning. A teller, Ryan, visibly flinched behind the counter, but remained silent. Jessica felt her heart race. She disliked confrontations, but she didn't react, maintaining her composure as a silent defense. The discomfort continued. Vanessa signaled a security guard, Marcus, a large man, who approached with a concerned expression. "Watch her," she ordered, her voice loud and sharp. "I don't trust this one. She's likely here to do something dishonest." Marcus crossed his arms, standing over Jessica, as Vanessa smirked. "What's in that bag?" she demanded, pointing at Jessica's plain canvas tote. "Open it, let's see what you're hiding." Jessica's voice trembled slightly, but she remained composed. "Just my phone and wallet," she replied, unzipping it to show them. Marcus escalated the situation, taking a cup of coffee from the counter and inadvertently spilling it down Jessica's shirt. The hot liquid soaked her white t-shirt and dripped onto her sweatpants. "Oops, thought you needed a wake-up call," he remarked, smirking as Vanessa laughed. "Now she looks the part, wet trash." The pinstripe guy chuckled, saying, "Perfect upgrade for a beggar," while the fur coat woman snapped a photo, giggling, "This'll go viral, scammer gets soaked." Jessica remained there, soaked and with stinging skin, her demeanor a sharp difference from their hostility. Yet the crowd's laughter continued. Vanessa scoffed, "A likely story," as Marcus searched, retrieving her keys and throwing them onto the counter as if presenting evidence. A woman in a fur coat close by chuckled, murmuring to her companion, "She looks as if she's requesting money, not making a deposit." Vanessa proceeded with her remarks. She took Jessica's folder once more, this time tearing a page from the foundation's proposal in two and throwing it to the floor. This is worthless, likely printed from a deceptive website, she exclaimed, her voice resonating as Marcus encouraged. Yeah, destroy it all. She's a fraud. The man in a pinstripe suit gave a knowing smile. She should have remained where she came from. A young teller named Lisa averted her gaze. Feeling embarrassed but not speaking, Jessica reached down to gather the damaged paper, her hands trembling. She remained silent, simply returning the document to its folder, her composure highlighting the harshness of their actions. The man in the pinstripe suit nodded, a mocking laugh escaping his lips, suggesting she was deceiving them. Jessica briefly closed her eyes, focusing on maintaining her composure. She didn't require their approval. She led a foundation that positively impacted lives, yet their criticism felt sharp. She had encountered this type of assessment previously, people evaluating her based on her appearance, but never with such intensity, never so openly. Her fingers brushed the folder, clinging to the truth inside as Vanessa's finger jabbed closer, grazing her cheek. You're wasting our time. Get out before I have you escorted. As Vanessa's finger grazed her cheek, Grace stepped in closer, shoving Jessica's shoulder hard enough to make her stumble, her sneakers slipping on the wet floor from the coffee spill. Move it, con artist, out of here, he growled, while Vanessa screeched, get her gone before she stains the place. The woman wearing a fur coat applauded, saying, finally, clear out the undesirables. And the man in pinstripes threw a crumpled receipt at her, shouting, take your rubbish and leave. Jessica regained her composure, coffee spilling, paper scattering. However, she remained firm, her silence a challenge they were unable to subdue. At that moment, Ethan re-entered the room. The call concluded, concerning a business matter in Singapore, and he paused, his gaze fixed on the unfolding situation. Vanessa's finger was near Jessica's face. Marcus was nearby, and onlookers were observing. His jaw became rigid, but his voice, calm and authoritative, resonated. You are addressing my wife. The entire bank fell silent. Ethan's voice didn't merely quiet the room. It resonated like a sudden, powerful sound, halting Vanessa in the middle of an expression, her fingers still suspended in the air, as if illuminated by a focused beam of light. The murmur of the crowd ceased abruptly, giving way to a collective intake of breath that seemed to drain the air. Vanessa's strong arms fell limp, as if they had lost their function, and the man in the pinstripe suit's mouth dropped open, his tie appearing like a rope around his confident throat. Jessica's green eyes briefly met Ethan's, a hint of reassurance visible beneath her composed expression. And the bank felt constricted, as every head turned towards the man in a suit who had just overturned their reality with 5 straightforward words. Vanessa's finger fell, her face paling. Ethan did not hurry. He walked, each step a measured rhythm that resonated off the marble, his suit slicing through the disarray like a blade through paper. Jessica breathed out, her shoulders relaxing for the first time since Vanessa's finger brushed her cheek. The coffee stain on her shirt, now a symbol of perseverance as Ethan's presence enveloped her like armor. The woman in the fur coat dropped her phone. It fell to the floor with a clatter, effectively ending her chance for a viral photo moment. Ryan's eyes widened behind the counter, a smile playing on his lips. He anticipated this, and it arrived, a spectacle impossible to overlook. Marcus retreated, his hands relaxing. A palpable tension filled the space as Ethan arrived beside Jessica, his hand lightly touching her arm, a silent assertion that resonated more powerfully than any proclamation. This moment dissolved the room's self-satisfied atmosphere, leaving Vanessa's scorn devoid of impact and Marcus's confidence diminished. The man in the pinstripe suit recoiled, his wrinkled receipt still visible where Jessica had been, now symbolizing his flawed assessment, while the woman with the fur coat's laughter faded into a stifled cough, her fur seeming to envelop her in shame. Ethan's hazel eyes focused on Vanessa, conveying a sense of impending confrontation, and the audience perceived it. The situation shifted. The woman who had been the target of ridicule now commanded attention, poised to dispel every unkind remark. The man in the pinstripe suit's laughter ceased abruptly, and the woman wearing fur momentarily paused, her amusement cut short. Ethan approached Jessica, his suit impeccable, his stance radiating quiet intensity. "What's going on here?" he inquired, having witnessed enough. Jessica gently touched his arm, her gesture reassuring yet resolute. "It's okay, Ethan. I was simply attempting to open the account." Vanessa hesitated, speaking with a slight tremor. I I was unaware." Ethan's gaze sharpened, interrupting her. "What did you not realize? That she is my wife, or that she is more valuable than your entire branch?" A palpable tension filled the room, as murmurs spread as people understood the situation. Ethan Harper wasn't merely wealthy. He was a billionaire investor, a dominant figure with over $300 million held at Atlantic National, his name frequently appearing in financial news. Vanessa's confidence faltered, her hands moving nervously with her blazer. "Sir, I was simply being careful." Ethan shook his head, his voice firm but pointed. "Careful? You publicly accused her of fraud because she wasn't wearing a designer dress. That isn't carefulness. That's presumption." Jessica moved forward, her green eyes bright, her tone composed. "It's not about my being his wife. It's about you treating me as if I don't fit in because of my appearance. That's the issue here, not my account." The audience moved, some agreeing, others avoiding eye contact, acknowledging the reality of the situation. Marcus retreated to his position, lowering his head, as Ryan, the teller, quietly said, "I tried to warn her." The man in the pinstripe suit straightened his tie, falling silent, while the woman with the fur coat gripped her handbag, her enjoyment vanished. Ethan's eyes scanned the room, focusing on Vanessa. "You embarrassed her without justification. She's here to make a deposit that will assist children who would never otherwise be in a place like this. Children you would likely criticize as well." Jessica affirmed, stating the Harper Foundation isn't about appearances, it's about people. She added, "You didn't even ask." The glass doors opened, and a man in a gray suit hurried in. William Carter, the bank president, appeared, his face etched with worry. Ethan had likely contacted him, probably Ryan, and he'd left a meeting uptown. "Mr. Harper?" "Mrs. Harper," he said, breathless. "I'm so sorry, I just heard. Please, let's talk privately." He gave Vanessa a look that seemed intense, then indicated a side office. People stepped aside, their expressions showing surprise as Ethan and Jessica entered. Her sweatpants a noticeable difference from the bank's polished surfaces, yet her poise exceeding it. Inside the office, William closed the door, his hands joined, stating, "This is unacceptable. I am truly sorry. What actions can be taken?" Jessica took a seat, a folder resting on her lap, her voice steady and resolute. "I am not seeking compensation for myself. However, this must never occur again, not to any individual. Instruct your employees to look beyond outward appearances. Establish a policy of respect for every individual entering the premises regardless of attire, and collaborate with my foundation to provide underprivileged students with access to accounts and financial literacy opportunities." Ethan leaned forward, stating, "You've been entrusted with $300 million of my funds. Ensure its proper use or I will relocate it." Vanessa attempted to retract her statement, her voice trembling as Ethan looked at her intently. "Mr. Harper, I didn't intend that. I have financial obligations, I have a child." She pleaded, her blonde hair escaping its tight bun in her panic. Jessica looked at her, coffee still staining her shirt, and said coolly, "You meant every word. You judged me without asking." Ethan stepped in, towering, "She's right, you're finished here. Cry all you want, your career is over." William nodded from the doorway, "Suspension is just the beginning. A full review will be completed by tomorrow." Vanessa crumpled. Her smugness vanished as the crowd watched her fall, their earlier jeers now a bitter echo. William quickly nodded, taking notes, affirming, "Done. Everything. I'll oversee this personally." He hesitated, then announced, "Vanessa is suspended, effective immediately, pending review. This isn't representative of our values." Jessica inclined her head, considering that's good, but don't just issue penalties. Address the underlying issues. People are capable of change. Marcus faced his own accountability. William summoned him after Ethan and Jessica departed, his face flushed with embarrassment. "I wasn't aware of her identity." He pleaded, "Please, I need this job." His large build seemed to diminish under the president's gaze. William spoke with cold authority. "You pushed her, causing her to spill coffee. You're fortunate it's only a suspension, another infraction, and you're terminated. The pinstripe man and the woman in the fur coat retreated, their laughter fading into hushed discussions about Marcus's potential demise, the part they played in the situation clearly troubling them. Jessica's subtle triumph lingered in the atmosphere, a harsh truth they would have to accept, and the audience had reason to celebrate her ascent over their failure. Ethan grasped her hand, displaying his pride, as William assured them updates would be provided by the end of the week. The agreement was finalized, achieved through encouragement rather than intimidation. As they prepared to depart, Jessica glanced back, her gaze meeting Vanessa's through the window. Vanessa remained present, visibly anxious near the counter. One more thing, Jessica said quietly. We're offering a parent workshop next month for families with children experiencing difficulties in reading. Vanessa is invited to attend. We sometimes make hasty judgments without understanding the challenges others face. William seemed taken aback, then he nodded. She would be informed. They exited, Ethan's arm around her, the bank now noticeably calmer. The murmurs and giggles had ceased. Jessica's tote bag swayed beside her. Her sweatpants remained the same, yet her aura had altered the atmosphere. Vanessa remained motionless, her suspension a burden she would take with her. The man in the pinstripe suit discreetly left, his head bowed, and the woman with the fur coat refused to make eye contact, her purse offering no protection. William observed their departure, already composing reports, aware that $300 million and a valuable lesson were at stake. The morning sun touched Jessica's face, and she released a breath, feeling the tightness dissipate. Ethan looked at her, his expression gentle. Are you all right? She responded with a nod, a faint smile appearing. Yes, it's not solely about us, it's about their learning process. He kissed her forehead, and they proceeded, leaving the bank behind, which seemed a little less arrogant, a little more relatable. If this narrative evoked a feeling in you, please consider liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Entering the interview at a leading financial firm, she felt belittled by a panel who mocked her linen shirt and accused her of being a fraud. They dismissed her impressive resume, laughing, and declared, "You're no leader. Go fetch coffee." Despite the humiliation, Elena remained composed, concealing a secret that would dramatically alter their perception. Shortly thereafter, the CEO addressed her with deference, his voice wavering, "Madam Chairwoman." The Altera Group's headquarters dominated Manhattan's skyline, a glass monolith projecting power and prestige. Its lobby resembled a cathedral of wealth, featuring marble floors, gold-trimmed elevators, and a chandelier, comparable in size to a small car, scattering prisms across leather sofas. Altera was a financial titan managing trillion-dollar portfolios for governments, tech giants, and old money dynasties across Europe and beyond. The boardroom regularly welcomed Nobel laureates, and its executive suites saw a constant turnover of individuals from Ivy League institutions. The company fostered a demanding culture, where presentation held as much weight as skill, and an unsuitable suit could jeopardize a career. Altera's Instagram showcased its C-suite members wearing Armenian Rolexes, projecting a carefully constructed image of exclusivity. It was an environment where status served as protection, and those not belonging often faced rejection. Elena Royce entered the lobby, her white linen shirt crisp yet plain, her cream trousers tailored but understated, her flat shoes making no sound on the marble. At 39, she presented a striking image through her composure, with hazel eyes that conveyed both kindness and determination, dark hair styled in a low ponytail, and no cosmetics beyond a touch of lip balm. Her canvas tote held a notebook, a pen, and a well-worn copy of The Wealth of Nations. Elena possessed a legendary status in finance, holding a double MBA from Oxford and MIT. She had spent 15 years directing strategy for leading investment funds in Zurich, Singapore, and Boston, and had received personal endorsements from 3 global banking CEOs. A decade prior, she had designed Altera's recruitment system as a consultant, focusing on fairness and meritocracy, before transitioning to chair a private foundation. Today, Elena returned incognito to evaluate that system, presenting herself as an applicant for the position of Global Strategy Vice President. Her financial resources, connected to her husband's tech empire, were extensive but not readily apparent. She favored keeping it so. The receptionist, a young woman named Chloe with a neat bun and diamond earrings, observed Elena's attire and smiled faintly. Applicants for interviews utilized the side entrance, she stated, indicating a glass door. Elena acknowledged, her tote bag over her shoulder, and proceeded as directed, disregarding the hushed conversations from the suited executives in the vicinity. While Elena waited in the hallway prior to her interview, the other candidates, dressed in expensive suits and displaying a sense of superiority, gathered in a group around her, their murmurs cutting like barbs. Lila Tate, wearing a Gucci skirt, gestured toward Elena's tote and laughed, remarking, "Is that her briefcase or a grocery bag?" Jared Holt, considered the frontrunner, added to the mockery, tossing a crumpled dollar bill near her feet. "For your dry cleaning," he said with a sneer, eliciting laughter from the assembled group. A fellow applicant, Ethan Crane, identifiable by his Rolex, took a photograph and shared it within a group chat called Altera Wannabes. He captioned the image hat budget candidate. The sound of their amusement reverberated through the hallway as phones recorded Lila's chant. "No suit. No shot." Emily Voss, a junior HR staffer, observed from close proximity, offering no intervention. Elena's grip on her tote bag tightened, her hazel eyes reflecting suppressed distress. Yet she maintained an upright posture, her composure a silent challenge to their unkindness. The video appeared on Instagram, quickly accumulating 10,000 views, and each comment felt like a personal affront. "Lost in turn?" one person wrote, followed by laughter. "Or the cleaning crew," another added, their amusement cutting. The side entrance opened onto a clinical hallway, where Elena joined a queue of applicants, primarily dressed in tailored suits and carrying leather briefcases. Jared Holt, a man in a pinstripe suit, looked down at her tote and remarked, "Hope you brought a better pitch than your wardrobe," his words intended to be heard and eliciting further laughter. Elena's hazel eyes shifted, but a faint smile touched her lips, her composure a quiet fortress. Within the interview room, a modern conference space featuring floor-to-ceiling windows, the panel was assembled. HR Director Michael Callahan, a man of substantial build in a $5,000 suit, Senior Manager Vanessa Klein, her red lipstick a sharp contrast against her tailored blazer, and Director of Operations David Rees, his cufflinks catching the light as he reviewed documents. Their gazes assessed Elena's appearance, their smiles restrained and calculated. Callahan reclined, a chuckle escaping him. "Are you the candidate? I assumed you were the coffee lady." Vanessa offered a smirk, commenting, "Is this your interview attire? Did nobody mention Altera has a standard?" The room's atmosphere grew heavy, their assessment a tangible presence. Elena spoke, her voice steady and deliberate. "Please review my resume, and let's begin the interview." Callahan scoffed, dismissing her file without opening it. "We'll get to that," he stated, his voice laced with disdain. The panel's inquiries seemed routine and intended to quickly end the discussion. While Elena tried to respond to Vanessa's shallow question regarding mergers, the panel seemed to intentionally undermine her. David Rees activated a projector showing a slide labeled Candidate Attire Standards featuring a photograph of a woman in a linen shirt closely resembling Elena's, marked with a red X. He stated with a smirk, and as the room chuckled, "This is you." Callahan then cut her off, demanding, "Speak louder. It's hard to focus with that outfit." Vanessa dropped a second test, 5 pages of conflicting financial models while still explaining, mentioning, "Oh, and this one's due in 3 minutes." The panel chuckled, their pens tapping, as Jared glanced in, winking at Callahan. The sabotage was obvious, a display intended to unsettle her. Elena's pen hesitated, her hazel eyes focusing, but she kept writing, her demeanor steady. A screenshot of the slide appeared, shared on the Altera Elite Slack with the caption, "Shash, dressed to fail." Each share felt like a public humiliation of her. "Describe your experience with high-stakes mergers," Vanessa inquired, her pen tapping with impatience. Elena started explaining her involvement in a $50 billion deal in Singapore, but David interrupted her. "That's sufficient," he stated, a smirk playing on his face. "It seems like assistant-level work." The panel looked at each other, their enjoyment evident. Then Callahan placed a 10-page financial analysis test onto the table. 5 minutes, he stated, let's see if you're worth our time. The test was exceptionally difficult, filled with complex equations, inconsistent data, and designed to be failed. Elena reviewed it, her hazel eyes focusing, but she wrote consistently, her pen moving with accuracy. When the time ended, Vanessa took the papers, giving them only a brief look. You don't align with our leadership culture, she stated, her voice resolute. The reasons given were incorrect attire, a lack of presence, and a poor test performance. Before Elena could reply, Jared Holt, the candidate waiting outside, entered, his pinstripe suit sharply visible. He had been previously chosen. His interview was a mere formality following a $200,000 donation to Callahan's private fund. Jared gave Vanessa a wink, and she returned the gesture, moving his file to the top. Now this is leadership material, she announced, making certain Elena heard. The panel chuckled. Callahan patted Jared's shoulder. You're our guy, he stated, disregarding Elena's presence. The room's established order was evident. Wealth and appearances held more value than qualifications. Elena rose, holding her tote, and inclined her head, her voice calm but resolute. I am unaware of any candidate so remarkable that the panel would dismiss all established criteria, encompassing experience and ethics. However, if a financial offering is sufficient to influence a decision, then today's assessment is superfluous. A palpable silence fell. Callahan's face flushed, his hand striking the table as he rose. Are you suggesting we solicit bribes? He demanded. Do you have any understanding of who you're addressing? This is a leading financial conglomerate, not a venue for unfounded claims. Vanessa's slight smile disappeared, and her pen fell from her hand. David moved closer, his tone sharp. You display a remarkable lack of respect, madam. It's no surprise you present yourself so plainly. The other candidates in the hallway, looking through the glass, murmured, she's finished. Elena remained unmoved. She met Callahan's gaze, her voice calm and measured. I know precisely who I am addressing, she stated, and with equal clarity, who is not worthy of a place at this table. A profound silence filled the room, unsettling the panel, their eyes shifting with unease. As Elena's words lingered, Vanessa turned to David, her whisper carrying through the space. She is likely a dissatisfied employee seeking legal action, she remarked with a smirk. Observe her closely. It seems likely she created her resume at a public library. The interview panel reacted with laughter, their voices cutting, as Jared joined in, offering a playful salute to Elena. Better luck at the temp agency, he remarked, high-fiving David. Candidates in the hallway quietly chuckled, recording the interaction on their phones for a private Slack channel named All Terra Elites. The video circulated rapidly, accompanied by captions like, Our coffee lady crashes. Comments followed, including dismissive remarks like, What a loser! Fire her already. Elena's fingers gripped her tote, her hazel eyes unwavering. However, the shame felt palpable, enveloping her like smoke. She remained silent, her dignity serving as a defense against their harshness. The panel's derision intensified. One man, still visibly angered, snatched Elena's test and ripped it in half, throwing the fragments onto the table. This is our assessment of your abilities, he declared, his voice resonant. You are consuming our time. Vanessa rose, the sound of her heels sharp, and indicated Elena's tote. Check that bag before she leaves, she instructed a security guard stationed by the door. She added, I wouldn't be surprised if she's got company pens in there. The guard, a stocky man named Victor, smirked and approached, his radio emitting static. Open it, ma'am, he said, his tone suggesting suspicion. Elena calmly unzipped her tote, displaying only her notebook and book. But the guard shook his head, murmuring, shady. The panel chuckled, with Jared taking a photo. The flash illuminated Elena's face. An image appeared on Twitter, labeled as an all-terror rejection, and quickly gained 5,000 retweets. Elena's jaw clenched, but she secured her tote, maintaining her composure. Beyond the glass walls, the other candidates created a barrier, their murmured comments forming a wave of disapproval. No wonder she's struggling, one remarked. a woman in a Gucci skirt named Lila Tate. Another, a man wearing a Tom Ford suit, added, "I'll wager she's never been in a boardroom." The sound of their laughter resonated, phones recording as Elena passed by, her apartment quiet. Lila created a TikTok, adding her commentary over the video. "This is why Altera's elite. We don't allow just anyone in." The video quickly reached 50,000 views, each share feeling like a public embarrassment. As Elena approached the elevator, a junior HR staffer, Emily Voss, smiled, saying, "Wrong floor, hun." Janitors used the service lift. A sudden burst of laughter filled the hallway, the candidate's amusement sharp and jarring, but Elena remained composed, pressing the button as her hazel eyes focused on the doors, her demeanor concealing a fierce determination. The elevator hadn't finished closing when the panel delivered their final critique. Callahan arrived in the hallway, clutching Elena's untouched resume, and declared, "Don't expect to return, you're blacklisted." He ripped the file, scattering the pages across the floor before the candidates. Vanessa followed, her tone laced with animosity. "Take your little book with you," she said, nudging Elena's copy of The Wealth of Nations towards her. The candidates responded with cheers, Jared shouting, "Back to the library." The security guard laughed quietly, his radio static as he murmured, "Thought she'd cause trouble." The video of the resumes shredding quickly spread online, with the hashtag Altera Elites trending in all comments. The general sentiment was, she deserved it. No class, no chance, a fresh wound. Elena grasped her book, the weight of betrayal in her tote, and entered the elevator, holding her head high. Shortly after, the boardroom doors opened, and Gideon Price, the CEO, walked in. At 50 years old, he was a renowned figure, possessing a strong jawline, silver-flecked hair, and blue eyes that commanded attention. Gideon had transformed Altera into a worldwide leader, his reputation for impartiality as respected as his intelligence. Without looking at the panel, he walked purposefully toward Elena, who had been brought back by his assistant, Lucas, a young man in a navy suit. The atmosphere in the room changed, and the panel's expressions softened. Gideon halted before Elena, his voice a low and steady tone. "Madam Chairwoman," he said, inclining his head slightly, "I apologize for the delay." The room felt heavy, and the panel's complexions paled. Elena released her coat, exposing a gold-plated badge affixed to her shirt, identifying her as chairwoman of the board, Elena Royce. She addressed the panel, her hazel eyes displaying a controlled coolness. "I did not come here seeking employment," she stated, her voice clear and resonant. She hesitated, her eyes meeting those of Callahan, then Vanessa, then Jared. "And the conclusion is negative." Following Gideon's words, "Madam Chairwoman," the panel's confidence dissolved into fear. Callahan's face turned pale, his $5,000 suit offering no protection as he stammered, "Chairwoman? This is a mistake." Vanessa's heels shook, her red lipstick a striking contrast to her pallor as she gripped the table, murmuring, "No one told us." David's cufflinks made a clicking sound as his hands trembled, his projector slide still displaying the taunting image of Elena's outfit. Elena retrieved a tablet from her tote and presented a live feed of the Altera Elite's Slack, revealing their captions, "Hat Coffee Lady crashes dressed to fail," to the assembled group. "You fostered a culture of corruption," she stated, her voice composed yet forceful, her hazel eyes focused intently on each panelist. The candidates in the hallway reacted with surprise, dropping their phones as Lucas displayed Elena's identification on the wall, prominently showing her title, Chairwoman of the Board. Gideon's blue eyes darkened, his voice a growl. "You're done," he told the panel, their careers vanishing before them. The room's silence served as a verdict, their fear a palpable force as Elena's power altered their world. Gasps spread through the room, the candidates in the hallway stopping, their phones lowering. Callahan's mouth opened but no words came. Vanessa's heels wobbled, her red lipstick a striking contrast against her complexion. Jared's pinstripe suit seemed to contract, his confidence gone. Elena advanced, placing her tote on the table, her voice unwavering. 10 years ago, I established Altera's hiring process to emphasize merit, skills, ethics, and vision," she stated. Today you have demonstrated that it has become a venue for corruption and prejudice. She retrieved a folder from her tote, passing it to Gideon. This contains proof of payments to guarantee positions, encompassing Mr. Holtz. The folder specified Jared's $200,000 contribution, bank transfers linked to Callahan's account, and emails from Vanessa assuring Jared the position. A wave of shock rippled through the panel. Their hands shook. Gideon's expression grew severe, his voice firm. He announced, effective immediately, Mr. Callahan, Ms. Klein, Mr. Reese, and Mr. Holt are suspended pending investigation. The security guard, Victor, visibly lost color, his radio unresponsive as Lucas led him away. The consequences were substantial. By noon, Altera's board initiated a comprehensive inquiry, revealing a system of compensated roles and discriminatory behaviors. Callahan's fund was frozen, his $5,000 suit offering no protection as he confronted fraud charges. Vanessa's LinkedIn profile was overwhelmed with bribe queen comments, and her consulting engagements were canceled. Jared's finance career suffered a devastating blow, his pinstripe suit becoming a relic as firms placed him on a blacklist. The investigation uncovered that Lila Tate and Emily Voss had disclosed internal memos that ridiculed unsuitable candidates, resulting in their terminations and the suspension of their social media accounts for hate speech. Elena's inquiry went beyond suspending the panel. It removed individuals involved in wrongdoing from Altera's boardroom. She called for an urgent board meeting, appearing with a linen shirt illuminated by the chandeliers, and presented a file detailing 20 managers connected to the bribery scheme, their names displayed on a screen. The board, previously unconcerned with reputation concerns, remained motionless, their professional attire providing no protection as Elena's voice resonated. You facilitated a process that traded trust for money. Sarah Holt, Callahan's deputy and the individual who had approved Jared's deal, visibly lost color as security personnel led her away. A palpable change in the room's atmosphere occurred, with directors visibly shaken as Elena implemented the Royce standard, requiring ethics audits for every new hire. The Financial Times broadcast her speech live, her tote bag visible on the podium as she stated, Altera will lead by merit or it will not lead at all. Online platforms celebrated her, with the hashtag BoardroomBestrending gaining traction, each message acknowledging her bold leadership. The LinkedIn profiles of the removed managers disappeared, their apprehension regarding Elena's determination leaving a lasting impression. The Street Journal published a front-page article detailing the Altera scandal, highlighting bribery and bias within the financial giant. Social media exploded, with @AltraShame becoming a global trending topic, users posting commentary. They ridiculed her shirt, now they are without employment. The hallway candidates, previously Elena's detractors, confronted a public accounting as Lucas broadcast the interview recordings to Altera's internal network. Lila Tate's Gucci skirt appeared to droop as a TikTok video making fun of Elena appeared. Her face flushed as colleagues murmured, "That's her." Jared's dollar toss played again, his pinstripe suit offering no protection. As gasps echoed in the hallway, his Altera-inspired group chat, with 200 members, was revealed, causing embarrassment. Ethan Crane's Rolex shone as he attempted to leave, but security prevented him, his photo post now labeled, #, career killer online. Elena stood at the room's center, her tote on the table, and stated, "You judged me by my shirt, not my skills. Now the world sees your character." The footage appeared on LinkedIn, accumulating 5 million views, with comments such as, "They're finished. Elena's a queen." A cheer arose for her triumph. The candidates' careers suffered a collapse, their elitism becoming a public embarrassment, their fear of Elena's power serving as a lesson reflected in their downfall. The audience responded with enthusiasm on social media, with Royce rules trending as Elena's justice prevailed. Footage from a leaked interview, provided to a news outlet by Lucas, reached 30 million views. The video depicted Callahan ripping Elena's test, Vanessa's request for a bag check, and Jared's taunts, contrasted with Elena's composure and Gideon's bull. The phrase "Madam Chairwoman" became a recurring theme on TikTok, with each mention celebrated as a sign of Elena's victory. Videos of the candidates, including Lila's TikTok and Jared's photo, were transformed into memes bearing the caption "Elite Losers." Altera's Instagram, previously a platform displaying authority, was overwhelmed with comments expressing disapproval, such as "shame on you." Seeking justice for Elena. The board's apology, released at 6 a.m., was overshadowed by online criticism, and the company's reputation became a warning example. Elena went beyond suspensions. 1 week later, she appeared at a press conference wearing a plain navy blazer, with a tote bag on the podium, to announce Altera's revised recruitment policy. She stated, with unwavering hazel eyes, that all applications would be submitted anonymously, without names, photos, or personal branding. Only skills would be considered. A wave of applause and flashing cameras filled the space. The new policy, known as the Royce Standard, prohibited evaluations based on appearance, requiring anonymous reviews for all positions. Forbes described it as a seismic shift in executive recruitment, and organizations such as Goldman Sachs and UBS implemented comparable procedures. Elena's Royce Standard created a significant impact far beyond Altera, compelling international companies to confront their own biases. During a Davos panel discussion, Elena, with her tote by her side, urged CEOs to implement blind hiring, her hazel eyes focusing intently on a visibly unsettled bank executive who had previously criticized her consulting work. The room fell silent. His apology was subsequently tweeted, and Elena effect became a trending topic as 50 firms committed to reforms. Following the panel at Altera, the desks were cleared, Callahan's awards were discarded, Vanessa's designer pens were taken, and Jared's framed MBA was placed in a bin. Colleagues observed with astonishment as Elena passed, her flats making no sound, her voice composed. This exemplified accountability. The Economist highlighted her with the cover story, "The Chairwoman's Revolution," her linen shirt becoming symbolic. The individual responsible exhibited clear apprehension, their names removed from finance records, their workspaces deserted as Elena's policies transformed the industry. Online platforms expressed approval, with users commenting, "She straightened the executive out." Elena's influence, understated yet profound, left those responsible feeling shaken. Elena's impact extended beyond Altera. Her foundation initiated a worldwide program, providing financial training to 10,000 women, equipping them to address bias, with workshops featuring accounts of discrimination. She meticulously managed every aspect, her notebook documenting numerous ideas, and her tote bag a familiar sight at seminars. Her husband, Nathan Royce, a tech billionaire who established a cybersecurity enterprise, offered his support discreetly. His Gulfstream was stationed at Teterboro, yet it was Elena's vision that fueled change. The boardroom where she'd been mocked became the Royce Conference Center, honoring her legacy. Correspondence arrived from candidates globally, expressing how the Royce Standard instilled hope. Elena read each letter, her hazel eyes reflecting determination. Altera didn't fully regain its former vibrancy. Its stock price stabilized, but the company's culture transformed, the Royce Standard eliminating elitism. Altera's Instagram now highlighted a varied workforce, its chandeliers softened by Elena's influence. Callahan and Vanessa receded from public view, their bribes becoming a minor detail. Jared's LinkedIn profile remained inactive, his confidence concealed. Lila and Emily sought employment in retail, their TikTok videos removed. The public observed Elena's ascent, her white shirt symbolizing strength. She refrained from boasting, instead establishing a more equitable system, utilizing composure rather than animosity. Elena and Nathan enjoyed evenings in their Brooklyn brownstone, where the garden echoed with their daughter's laughter. She wore a linen shirt, he wore jeans, no tie. They discussed strategy over coffee, her tote on the counter holding a new photo. Elena at the policy launch, her smile radiant. Their wealth was immense, but their mission was greater, rooted in a shared belief in fairness. The world knew Elena now, not as a billionaire's wife, but as a force who turned scorn into systemic change. Elena Royce didn't need a title, she was the standard. If the story moved you, please like, share, comment, and subscribe for more.